about you, but I get nostalgic for my own school days every once in a while. And I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about how the new math instruction is not bad and the progress that we're making in math instruction and helping kids learn math in a meaningful way. But today I'm going to go against my own grain a little bit to talk about some old school skills that sometimes I think we forget about when it comes to math education. These skills are things that we learned when we were in school, but sometimes I think we skip over for more tech focused or modern focused skills instead. But these skills help kids become better math learners and just better learners in general. So buckle up. And without further ado, the skill that I would like to talk about first is how to use a textbook. And I don't know about you. When I was in school, I had a textbook that I had to carry to and from school that was used for all of my math work. Some kids were lucky enough to have like a school copy and an at-home copy. Some kids nowadays have their textbook online, but most math classrooms are using some type of math textbook still. And I don't know how your kids are learning, but kids still need to learn how to use the textbook for learning, not just doing the math homework. And so they need to learn things like the anatomy of the textbook. Where do I find the table of contents? How do I get to the page that I want to be on? What is in the back? We look at the glossary and the index. This particular math book has formulas in the back that you can find and answers in the back for the work that's contained within the book. A kid also needs to understand how to use the example problems that are presented in the book to be able to do homework problems that they're stuck on. So instead of just getting stuck on a homework problem and being like, guess I can't do it, being able to look back in the book, find that type of problem in the lesson, learn from that example problem and apply what they learned to the problem that they're stuck on, that is an insanely valuable skill. So, being able to use the resource that you have in order to help refresh your memory, teach yourself, find answers is a really big deal. And I think sometimes we're skipping this skill because we have things like Google and AI. But being able to use a textbook is extremely helpful. Being able to use your resources that are available to you right then to help yourself. Skill number 2 is how to study for a test. Now, your kindergartner does not need to learn how to study for a test, but once kids hit 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they are going to have to learn how to study for math assessments. And although math assessments are not all created equal, they will need to learn how to review what they learned to try to retain it and then perform it on their math assessment. And a lot of kids, when I ask them, hey, what'd you do to study for this test? They say, oh, yeah, I did study for this test. I looked at my notes, or I looked over my homeworks, or I looked over the review. But that's not really studying. So, learning how to systematically study by finding practice problems, doing the practice problems, checking the practice problems, looking at the examples in the book, like we talked about in the last skill, to then be able to do problems like that on their practice, finding the skills that they are struggling with the most and focusing on those skills, not focusing so much on the skills that they already have, taking the notes and the teacher comments and the review to try to determine what's going to be on the test. All of that is a skill that has to be taught and learned. So if your child is in one of those grades and they're starting to have to study for their tests, help them learn some study skills, help them learn how to do practice problems, help them learn how to use the problems that were given to them that they may have already done, but they could do again and, cover up with a piece of paper so that you can check your answer. Even show them some places where they could find study materials online, like Khan Academy, to be able to not only watch videos, but check their work as they go when they do the exercises. Next skill kind of goes along with studying and the textbook, and that is how to take notes. Notes are hard. I don't know if you remember how learning how to take notes. I remember extensive sessions in classes where they taught us different note-taking techniques, and then you kind of had to figure out your own style. So learning how to take notes takes time, but kids need practice with learning how to take notes. So, even doing something with your child, like looking through the textbook chapter and helping them determine what the key information is and helping them write down that key information, maybe the key formulas, maybe the key vocabulary words to help them have something on one page that they can look at and understand can be helpful. They should be getting note taking skills at school, but note taking is something that we cannot sleep on even in the days of AI and summarization technology. All of that cannot replace good note taking by hand. And finally, and this is more of a just life skill, but I have seen it help my math students in math class so much, and that is learning how to talk to an adult, especially a teacher, to ask them questions and get advice. So, being able to approach the teacher to say, I did not understand that lesson. Here are the questions that I have about it. Or I turned in that homework assignment. Can you help me? Because it's showing that it's still missing in my portal and it's been like that for a week. Being able to respectfully approach a teacher to ask a question or ask for help is an invaluable skill because it will help your child increase their grades, increase their learning. Also, being able to do things like write an email to a teacher to ask a question or request help can be such a big and life-changing thing for these students because it helps them increase their grades when they want to. It helps them learn something that maybe they missed in class. It helps them get the notes when they were absent. So teaching this skill early and often is going to make a huge impact in your child's math education and just their life and the way that they feel comfortable navigating those situations. I started this with my kids as early as 4. When they wanted to ask their teacher for something or ask something, I would assist them in doing it themselves so that they are building that skill for later in life. Those are my old school skills. They are some of the skills that I think really positively impact my students' lives once they learn them. I would love to hear what old school skills you wish that we still taught kids in school, or old school skills that your kids are still learning in school and that you're glad that they're learning. So drop a comment below and make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss a math video.